folks, we need a way to attach our clock to the wall. Right now we have a mechanism in a clock face, and there isn't even a way to keep the mechanism attached to the back of the clock. So we're going to make that right now. As always, I'm going to build up on known geometry or known objects or components. In this case, I've got my clock face and I've got my mechanism. So I'm going to add a sketch to the back of the clock. And of course, that brings in the sketch geometry. If I turn off the visibility of the clock face and the mechanism components, you'll see that it's actually got some geometry that it pulled in because it knows where that is. I made that sketch on top of the clock face, so it's given me that to work with. But I don't have a place to put the mechanism. If I turn off on the visibility of the mechanism, I can see it, and I can even kind of highlight geometry in there. But interestingly, when I go to the line tool and I try and snap in to that geometry, it just won't snap in. I don't get that reticle that I need in order to be able to create my lines. So to rectify that, to deal with that, I'm going to make what's called a projection. So I go to the Create menu, and I go down to Project Include, and under here I will invoke the Project command. Here I can tell Fusion what I want to project into this sketch so that I can use it. In this case, I want to project a body, so I'm going to select the mechanism body, and then I'm going to say OK. Now it looks like nothing happened, but if I turn off the visibility of the mechanism, now I have actually projected that geometry very nicely into my sketch. And that geometry is all pink. That means it's a projection. It's not actually a line yet. I can create that geometry now by using the line command. So I'll just snap now into the geometry that I have projected, and I'll create all those nice lines there in between these points that it's given me. And to create these curves, I'm going to create a new kind of sketch entity called an arc. In this case, a tangent arc is perfect because arcs will come out of a straight line and then be a curve. So I'm coming out of the end of that straight line. I'll create a curve and snap it into the end of the next line. And I'll just keep doing that all the way around, clicking each time on those endpoints. And now, over in my sketch palette, if I turn off Show Projected Geometries, I have a lovely constrained sketch. That's great. Now, of course, that's just a line. That's the outline of the mechanism. I turn back the visibility, and there it is. It's inside there. I'll turn it off for the moment because I just want the sketch. And now I'm going to invoke the offset command. An offset is going to create a copy of an outline or a sketch. So in this case, I'm going to click on all of the different sketch entities so it goes all the way around. And the blue line represents the sketch curves that were selected, and the red line is the actual offset. So if I pull now on this handle, I can pull that out, and I can then give it a number. I'll say I want this to be offset by 10, because I want that's how wide I want the offset to be, and I'll click OK. Now, everything will turn black. I've got constrained geometry. The dimension is there, so I can always go back and change that offset later if I want it to be thicker. But there it is, and I can now finish my sketch, and I have the shape of my retaining ring. If I turn on the mechanism, you'll see that it is sitting right on at the top side of the mechanism, and if I turn on the clock face, you can see that it's pulled off the bottom of the clock face. I will now extrude my retaining ring. I invoke the extrude command. I'll zoom in a bit so I can see that sketch profile. I'll click on it, and I'm going to pull that down by thickness, the thickness parameter, because that's the material that I'm going to use to create this. And I'm going to, as always, check the operation in the extrude command, and I'll say new component because I want this thing to stand by itself, and I'll say OK. As always, I'll name my sketches and my components. So it's retaining ring and retaining ring. There we go. Okay, go back to my home view. I can orbit around now, and I can see that I've got a way to hold my clock in place, and that the mechanism pokes through the clock face, and I'm good to go. So there it is. That's how you add a retaining ring to the back of your clock. Stay tuned. In our next video, we will modify the retaining ring so that it can also be used as a wall hook, so we can hang this clock from the wall. There we go.